What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Trust the Bank podcast slash YouTube video. Still working on a name that we can figure it out. But if you don't know, we've switched up the way that we're doing the TTB podcast, Trust the Bank podcast, and we are posting all the segments individually rather than making it the full thing because we felt like it was a little bit weird when we uploaded on the YouTube side. If you only watched like the second segment, you may be kind of confused on what's going on. So now we're just going to upload everything individually, make it a lot easier. And the other thing that we're working on, this is going to be posted on Tuesday. Hopefully it's already set up by then. I will tweet about it at TTB_Ravens if you want to see the tweet. It's not that Twitter, but if you look up TTB, I'm pretty sure it shows up. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be setting up an Instagram. We're going to be setting up a TikTok. And what we're going to be doing is on all three of those social media platforms, we're going to be posting NFL Game Pass analysis and things like that, certain plays and concepts, look at, what did Greg Roman do here? How was that? Let's look at this player's block. Let's look at this route from this player. And that's a major thing to look at. So if you're interested in that type of thing, make sure to stay tuned with the Twitter, and I'll tweet out when all that stuff is. And I'll also be tweeting out the clips and things like that. So, we can look at it, analyze it. And then if you also have any plays that you want me to show off or you want us to look at and analyze, absolutely, you can comment it. You can, DM on Twitter when we set up the TikTok, when we set up the Instagram, we can DM anywhere over there. But I'm sure the name will be something along the lines of TTB Ravens. So, it should be pretty easy to find once it's set up, but that should be a lot of fun. But that's it for this intro. If this is your first time watching the channel, make sure to subscribe for daily Ravens content. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about something that we teased a little bit yesterday. If you haven't watched yesterday's video, it was pretty good. We talked about our three biggest takeaways from the game. One of those happened to be the running back 3 spot, and we said we'd analyze it further in today's video. Now we're going to do that, and let's talk about it. Who will be running back 3 for the Ravens? And even before we can even start, I have to preface this by saying I think we both agree Justice Hill is making the roster. He is too crucial to the special teams to be making the roster. So if we say, for example, the other players we're talking about, TySon and Nate McCrary, if we say like they should be running back 3, that means we'd be keeping 4 running backs and Justice Hill would still be on the squad. So don't take it like what we're saying as saying like, oh, Justice Hill's going to be cut. No, he's too valuable to the special teams. But in terms of the third guy that will be rushing the football, if Gus goes down, if JK goes down, who's going to be that guy behind, in that 2 slot, because the Ravens go through so many running backs. They run the ball so much that they have to have significant running back depth in order to just keep everybody's legs fresh. But now that that's out of the way, we've kind of gotten the preface out. Joshua, I'll let you go first. Let's talk about this running back 3 spot. Who you got? Let's just start off with that part. Who you got? Running back 3.
Man, I got the young man coming from Saginaw Valley State. Never heard of Saginaw Valley State, but now he's going to make it known. That is Nate McCrary. 6 foot, 215, smooth guy. If you haven't seen his highlights, go watch his highlights. If you didn't see last night's preseason game, go back and watch last night's preseason game. The young man is very smooth when he moves. He definitely takes his time. Finding a hole, but once he finds the hole, he's going through it and he's shooting through that hole, and he's going to take some people for the ride. I definitely love what he brings. I feel like he is that change of pace type of running back. I was saying it before we started recording. He reminds me of a Walter Payton type of guy, big body, strong, very agile, sweet on the feet. And when he gets on the outside, he's going to make you pay. So I definitely feel like Nate McCrary is going to be our third running back.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think we're both massive fans. We've always been massive fans of Nate McCrary ever since we signed him. Right after the draft, I think it was the day after the draft, I put out a video talking about the undrafted players that the Ravens signed. And I said the guy most likely to make the team would probably be Darius Washington, but the guy I'm rooting for the most is Nate McCrary. And that's because when you watch him, he's got, if you look at at what he ran, like in his athleticism and things like that, he ran like 4.57, which obviously is pretty slow. But when you watch him, he doesn't look like he runs 4.57 because he's very quick on his feet. he's able to shift in and out. He's able to juke. He's able to make cuts and make decisions quickly. And he may not be able to get up to a crazy high top speed. He may get caught from behind if he breaks one. But at the same time, if he sees one guy in front of him, he can actually make him miss. And if he doesn't make a miss, he's going to drop that shoulder and carry them for a couple of yards. He's very difficult to bring up down. And, that's obviously emphasized when you look at his highlights at obviously Saginaw Valley State, which is not, again, like Joshua, I'd never heard of it. But you watch those highlights, obviously he's not playing against the highest level of competition, but it seems like in almost every time you're watching, it's 3-4 guys always trying to bring him down because he's just that tough. He's always working. He's always grinding, trying to get those couple extra yards. And when you're looking at a third running back spot, what do you want? A guy that's going to work hard, because he may not get a ton of opportunities to rush the football, but when he does, even in this preseason game, he didn't get a lot of opportunities. I think he only had 4 carries. He didn't come in until the fourth quarter.
Right.
Everybody was hyping up TySon Williams, and we'll talk about TySon after we finish talking about Nate, and then we'll finish up with Justice Hill. But he was able to come in. His first touch, what does he do? He gets a little run to the outside, to the left side, I want to say, and he slowly waits. Then he hits that burst of energy and cuts right through the hole and is able to get a big chunk play. That's the type of patience, that's the type of explosiveness that we want to see out of that, because we have a lot of running backs. You got Gus just up the middle, up the middle, up the middle. He's bruising you. Then you can throw in JK, maybe get him on the outside and he can kind of run around you. Now we've got a guy that, can go up the middle just like Gus, with his strength. And he can also be on the outside and be pretty solid. He's kind of a hybrid between the two in the style that he plays. The other guys are more likely to take 180 yards to the crib, but they're ahead of him on the depth chart. If you want to analyze it like that, they're ahead of him on the depth chart. They should be better, but he's going to work hard, and he just runs with a nice smoothness to his game. And I strongly suggest, if you haven't seen any of his highlights, go watch them, because he just seems like he knows when to cut, he knows when to move, and he knows how to get extra yards after contact. He's not going to go down. He's not going to just drop out of bounds because he sees a cornerback. He's gonna drop the shoulder and run through him. And that's what I'd love to see out of a third running back. But, I don't want to just praise Nate McCrary, because other guys played pretty well, particularly TySon Williams, who led the Ravens running backs in rushing. And I got to say this right now. Joshua and I, we had a laugh before the stream because we're on ESPN looking at the stats. And TySon Williams is in the stats showing 10 carries for 42 yards. And I remember we were in the stream and we were talking, and I kept saying, like, the 2 Williams. And in my head, I'm thinking, where was this other guy that got 40 rushing yards?
Right.
But TySon Williams is in there twice, and one of them is TySon Williams, the 15-year cornerback veteran that retired, that played for the Ravens last year. And it makes no sense. So if you're confused by that, that's TySon Williams.
They're going crazy, man. Jeez.
So let's talk about TySon Williams, not TySon Williams, because all of a sudden we were like, wait a minute, did TySon Williams just switch to running back? And then we were like, we didn't see TySon Williams. Where was this guy? So don't get confused by that. ESPN made a mistake, and so let's move past that. But let's talk about TySon Williams. What do you think about him, Joshua?
I know a little bit about him. TySon. I want to pronounce it TySon, but I'm gonna say TySon for right now. I know he was at South Carolina for maybe about 2 seasons. Then he went ahead and went back into the recruiting pool, and he ended up going to BYU. So I believe he did play a little bit with Zach Wilson. His first carry, and in the previous episode of the podcast, I already talked about it. He either carried that linebacker or either safety on his back, and he moved forward. With those 3 other defenders trying to tackle him down. He obviously showed that he's strong in the legs, and I'm gonna keep on saying it. Our running backs do not miss leg day, obviously, and I love it that our running backs do not miss leg day. We pride ourselves on our run game. We when it comes to that 3-headed monster, when we did have Mark Ingram and J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, even the days when we had Kenneth Dixon and Gus Edwards, it was a show to watch. So being able to watch someone else that reminds me of, I would say, Gus more in a sense, because he's a hard-nosed runner. He puts his head down, and, he just knows how to carry the pile. He's a guy that doesn't go backwards. He's a guy that goes forward. I definitely feel like, if he was to be able to be if he was to be picked as the third running back, I wouldn't be disappointed in a sense, because I'm heavy on Nate, but at the same time, it's like you got two good guys that can fill that third position and that can get into the game and contribute in a massive way. So I definitely feel like TySon is definitely can play a key role either for us or someone else in the league. So I definitely like what I saw out of him as well.
Yeah, he was enjoyable to watch. I was very pleased because he came in along with Tyler Huntley, and it seemed like, hey, the running game's kind of picking up. The blocking still wasn't that great, but he was dropping the shoulder and he was fighting for extra yards. And that's what we want to see out of those running backs is they're not going to get a lot of opportunities, so they have to show you that they're working. They are going to fight for every yard because every yard counts for their job. And I believe he was on the Ravens practice squad this last season. And there's a chance, just bring it up with all three of these running backs, that McCrary and TySon are just put on the, Ravens practice squad. And if a player gets injured, they're brought up and given an opportunity to rush the football. We shall see what happens with that. But I liked what I saw out of him. I definitely would prefer him over Justice Hill. I just like Nate McCrary for that crazy size and strength that he has at the running back. I mean, if you ever looked at Nate McCrary when he was, standing in the huddle, he's bigger than Tyler Huntley. And that's something that is absolutely huge for him because it makes it scary to tackle. When you have a guy that big that actually works hard and stuff like that and drops the shoulder, that's very difficult to tackle. And so I think he definitely has a future possibly in the NFL, but we'll see what he's able to do because TySon Williams is a little bit smaller, I want to say. I'm trying to find his exact height. Yeah. He is actually 6 foot. He's actually slightly bigger, but it seemed like they both played very, very big. I did not recognize that size while I was watching him, but both of them are the bigger backs, and I like that better because we've seen, yes, Justice Hill, who we'll talk about kind of starting now. Justice Hill has kind of recognized that he should be the pass catching back. Gus Edwards doesn't have that bad of hands. J.K. Dobbins and Gus have been working on their hands. It's one of the biggest things they've been working on in the offseason. So it's kind of negating the need to have a specialty third and long running back to be able to put in, which is what Justice Hill's kind of calling card as the Ravens' third running back has been. It's been like, hey, if you have to throw to a running back, probably want to throw to Justice. But now it's like, I'm okay with throwing to Gus. I'm okay with throwing to J.K. So we don't really need that out of our third running back anymore. And Justice Hill still has the same problems that I've seen from him ever since he was drafted. He just always is playing at 100 miles an hour. He's too fast for himself. He tries to hit the hole too quickly, and he did not have great blocking. I don't want to completely pin the lack of run success on Justice Hill, but he just wasn't able to really get anything going. He struggled. And it was just seemed like the same guy that we've been watching for the last few years, where it's just disappointing. And it's unfortunate to say that, but I will say, phenomenal special teams player. He will make the roster. So don't take this as us being like Justice Hill haters. We love Justice Hill. If he wasn't on this team, the team would be worse. The team would be a lot worse if he wasn't on the team. But Joshua, what are your thoughts on kind of Justice Hill and where you're sitting with him on just being like a running back in general?
Listen, Justice Hill remind me of a track guy. Sometimes track guys, when they get out there and play other sports, most likely football, and they, the coach is like, wow, this young man is fast. He can run 100 yards in this amount of time. They want to try to put him in a skill position. Sometimes they just meant to just run fast. When Justice Hill is out there, he doesn't look comfortable. He doesn't look like Justice Hill from Oklahoma State University. And honestly and sadly, that was the guy we was expecting. I was definitely expecting that. I definitely had high hopes for him. But, he goes more east and west versus north and south when he does get the opportunity to get into the games. And, I know he's frustrated, but I definitely feel like he's made a name for himself on special teams as a gunner and things of that nature. He definitely makes his presence known. So, for sure, 99.9% he stays on the team as the fourth running back. That's just about it, man. I just like him as a special team. He definitely plays his role.
Absolutely. He's somebody that's definitely a core piece. You know, a guy that I would kind of compare him to just in terms of like he plays his role is Chris Moore, who was with the Ravens for his entire rookie contract. He ended up leaving. I believe he went to the Houston Texans to pair up with amazing wide receivers coach, now head coach David Culley. You know, shout out to him, top tier. That's a complete lie. David Culley's not. I don't know why you would follow him if you were a wide receiver. That's a really weird decision by Chris Moore. But like Chris Moore, as a wide receiver, you know, our kind of criticism was he always wanted the play to be like a massive touchdown. You know, whether it was a 5-yard, you know, comeback route or it was a, you know, a slant over the middle or a post over the middle, he would like get it and always be like looking up and doing something crazy. And it was like, as a wide receiver, he's not really working out. But all of a sudden, you throw him and trying to block a punt. Oh, he's blocking that punt. He's picking it up. I want to say he scored 3 touchdowns off of punt blocks. Like, he is good. You know, the ball gets on the ground. He fought for it. Like, very good special teams player. And he was always on the back end of the roster, you know, and making the team. And it was like, yeah, he's not going to play wide receiver. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to keep Jaleel Scott, or we're not going to be able to keep somebody that we had to cut, because they realized he's too important to the special teams. Justice Hill is like that. I expect him to be here until his contract is up. I don't think he'd get re-signed. But, you know, we'll have to see. So Justice Hill, we both like him on special teams, very important to this team. But as a running back, both like Nate McCrary, and then it's TySon Williams, and then it's Justice Hill. And also, if anybody like knows exactly how to pronounce it, is it TySon, TySon, not 100% sure on how to pronounce it. So let us know if we're pronouncing it wrong. We'll figure it out. But thank you everybody for watching. Thank you everybody for listening. Subscribe for Daily Ravens content. If you're watching on the podcast, you know, hit a rate and review and things like that. Make sure to check out for news on I'll probably make a post on YouTube as well when we set those up, so you can check it out. And I'll put links whenever we post videos and things like that of analysis and, you know, all that stuff. So thank you everybody for watching and listening. Subscribe for daily content. We'll see all of you again tomorrow.